Well, all my gamer friends, some exciting news that just dropped about Last of Us Season 2 as they drop a whole bunch of new pictures from the season. Certain memories stick with Neil Druckmann, the creator of Last of Us, from when he was making the second installment of the game. He remembers showrunner Craig Mazin popping over to Naughty Dog in Santa Monica to brainstorm not only season 1 but season 2, while Druckmann and his team were still working on the deadline for 2020's Last of Us Part 2. Talking about Game 2, and in fact there are a lot of chances, sometimes small adjustments, even bigger, that we're making in anticipation of adapting the game. So even before Game 2 was out, we were deep in conversations about where the characters would go and ultimately what they're trying to thematically do. But there were leaks that spoiled massive plot points of the story, toxic reactions, and even death threats against the creators and actors followed. It was that they were received out of context, prompting the gaming community to make their own assumptions and judgments. Some of that stuff was borderline traumatic, reflecting on the response that nearly 5 years earlier he and Mason were about to present the game story to a new kind of audience. It happened in the beginning of COVID, so there was a lot of negative things all happening at once. You can't help but think about it now. One of those stories that will forever be stuck with me. But our brand is that we pander to no one. We do what's best for the story, and whatever happens, happens. There's a particular story we wanted to tell, and we stuck to our guns. The strategy continues to pay off. Part 2 became a sensation, selling more than 4 million units before going to win award after award at the Oscars of the gaming industry, the Game Award. Yeah, I don't know about that. They don't know what the Game Awards are to be calling them the Oscars of it. It's the biggest spectacle, that's for sure. But this is coming from someone who watches the Game Awards, knows what it's like. And now as Mazin and Druckmann prepare for Season 2, dropping this April, and we still don't know the exact date. They do so from atop a pedestal of their own making. Audiences will know to have intense reactions to the events of Season 2, but it's difficult for the pair to actually talk about what that story entails. Nearly everything could be considered a spoiler. For context, when Naughty Dog released trailers to promote the Part 2 game, the story edited out characters for certain scenes to preserve the surprises. They're not quite doing that this time around, but every scene that appears for teaser for Season 2 was surgically carved out, and a lot of it has to do with Abby. This article is avoiding spoilers too, but if you're watching this and you played Game 2, then you know what they're talking about. Season 2 picks up 5 years after the events of Season 1. They are settled in Jackson, commune run by Joel's sister-in-law Maria Rutina Wesley, who now has a child with his brother Tommy Gabriel Luna. Ellie is, for once, enjoying the normal life as a teenager. She even has a crush on a girl named Dina, played by Isabella Merced, who happens to be the ex of her close friend Jesse Young Mazzino. However, there remains tension between her and Joel, who's still grappling with the actions he took to save Ellie's life in that cold Firefly hospital bed in the Season 1 finale. Details on Abby are intentionally vague, but she's described by HBO as a skilled soldier whose black and white view of the world is challenged as she seeks vengeance for those she loves. There's a very little that gets into our show because of an accident. Very little. Why would there be any? The storylines of Ellie and Abby are so intertwined in the games that the casting of Caitlin Dever as the latter now feels poetic. Years prior to the series, as Druckmann recalls, Screen Gems originally hoped to turn The Last of Us into a movie, though it never quite came together. They assembled a troupe of actors for the table read, and among them was a young Dever who read for the role of Ellie. We just remain in touch, she said. I believe Craig had the idea of using Caitlin for Abby when we talked about Season 2. The reason we cast Caitlin is because she's an incredible actor. We look at her body of work and the way she throws herself at that stuff. We value performance over anything else. Among her crew are Owen, Spencer Lord, a gentle soul and Abby's closest friend. Mel, Ariel Ibarra, a doctor and Owen's girlfriend, Nora, Tati Gabrielle, a military medic, and Danny Ramirez, a loyal soldier, all of whom struggle with their own past sins and traumas. In the exclusive EW photo, you will see the four figures trekking through the snow with Abby. One of the biggest differences in the game, fans will no doubt point out, is Abby's physique. Game Abby, originally voiced and acted through performance capture, Laura Bailey, is a towering muscled woman, while Deborah Abby is closer in appearance to Ramsey. In the spirit of getting ahead of any fans' comments, Druckmann has thoughts on the subject. From a story standpoint, there are different priorities for the show. Druckmann notes, while the game saw Abby maneuver like Joel in the way she can physically manhandle certain things, that element doesn't play as big as a role in this version. There's not as much violent action moment to moment. It's more about the drama. I'm not saying there's no action. It's just, again, different priorities and how you approach it. More importantly, Caitlyn has the spirit of the game in her. What I always loved about the idea was that you were going to continually be challenged as you were in season 1. When you try to pick a hero, it's tough because we're human beings. We're not heroes. For every heroic act, there's someone who suffers on the other side who may see you reasonably as a villain. When you look at Caitlyn, there's just something in her eyes where even no matter what she's experiencing, you connect. It's important that we found somebody that we could connect to the way we connect to Bella. Mason adds, I personally think there's an amazing opportunity here to develop into someone who is perhaps physically more vulnerable than the Abby in the game, but whose spirit is stronger. And then the question is, where does her formidable nature come from and how does it manifest? That's something that will be explored now and later. Later meaning season 3. Season 2 is indeed just the beginning. Mason and Druckmann previously revealed their plans to adapt the events of Part 2 across multiple seasons. While HBO has not officially greenlit a third outing just yet, conversations have been said. I think it's pretty likely the story will extend past a season 3. So how is that possible? How far past? I can't say. And that's not to say there are not other stories that could be told, but this story is the one Neil and I are telling. There's no reason for it to go past season 3. Beyond that, you're just making shit up for the sake of keeping it going. According to Druckmann, their first exercise in mapping out the show's trajectory entailed splitting the entire narrative arc of Part 2 into chunks to figure out what stories could be told or expanded upon. Once they pinpointed where to cap season 2, and in TV's golden age of the 8-episode season, now follows episode 7, and then began the excruciating detail work of filling in the specifics. The fish sticks. Each episode is like a meal. You have a light dinner, or you have to go out to 12-course French restaurant. We have 7 episodes. They're high-calorie, dense episodes. If you consider action and drama and scope to be those things that create an epic nature, each one of these episodes packs quite a wallop. You will not be bored. That includes the incorporation of deleted material once considered for the game, some of which was presented for the first time in the remastered edition of Part 2. Druckmann teases that particular material is pretty brutal, but I'm very excited for people to see it. Catherine O'Hara will arrive in a role we haven't seen in the game, and she's not the only one. There's a pretty prominent figure that is talked about a lot in the game, similar to what we do with Frank in season 1, but that's in this season. There are very, very cool casting that we can talk about soon. So there's somebody else cast that we don't even know about yet. So many questions remain. The trailers released thus far showed Jeffrey Wright reprising his role as he played in the game of Part 2 of Isaac, the leader of the large militia group. In the game, he's a figure players don't even see until the second half, yet he will appear in Season 2 of the TV adaptation. Part 2 also played with non-linear timeline and swap between the two main character POVs of Ellie and Abby. Will the same method be employed in the show? A big part of the theme is the second game is about perspective, how someone's hero could be someone else's villain and vice versa. It's weird to talk about a story where its structure could be a spoiler. Druckmann acknowledges, I don't even know if it's worth mentioning where we landed because I think that's part of the fun for people familiar with the game to see how we approached that challenge for the show. I would just say that we gave it a lot of thought and tried different things. There are some deviations of where we place things. We are certainly going to mess around with time the way it was in the source material, but as Neil said, we messed around in ways that felt more appropriate for the show. When I say messing around, I mean scientifically determined in a narrative way that we thought would be most impactful. Regardless of how audiences react to these changes, the duo's numerous accolades and ratings wins across both the games and season 1 of the show should tell you something. It seems like they know what they are doing. And back to the pictures. The first picture is we have of Joel sitting on the couch, and this looks like it's the scene with Catherine O'Hara, because Catherine O'Hara's character, where she's taking him through some type of therapeutic session. Is this his place or her place? We never got to see inside either of their places before the end of season 1. I'm most curious as anyone else is as to who exactly she is, because that still hasn't been clear, or how she got there to the Jackson, if that's where they are in Jackson. But Joel's here looking stoic, as if she's talking to him and trying to break through, and he's trying to not let her break through, but he does. Because I'm sure this is likely the mirror to the scene from the trailer where we see him up close and he's crying. The next picture that we have is of Bella Ramsey with Jesse Young Mazzino, the name of the actor. The lights and whatnot make it seem very Christmassy. I believe in the game this is just some type of like harvest event or some type of event happening in the community. And this looks like it's just them hanging out because her and Jesse are actually really good friends. But as the article says, Ellie gets involved with his ex. Does that get awkward? I don't know. In the games, yeah, he doesn't seem to be minded at all. She starts seeing Dina, and Dina used to date Young, or Jesse, as they say. And here they are just chilling, and Ellie looks way more relaxed and just having a good time with their friends. I'm thinking the show may actually open up either with the end of season 1 and Abby's point of view of the situation, or they're going to open with this party event that I don't know the name of. And then next picture shows one of the big changes from the games. Tommy and Maria have a son, and in the games, they don't have a son. There's a callback to season 1 where Tommy told Joel that he's going to be a father. Joel was kind of torn on how to even react to that because he wasn't necessarily all that happy for him, considering we all know what happened to Joel and his daughter. Why would you still want to bring a kid into this world now? This did not happen in the games. Tommy and Maria did not have a child in the games. So now they have a son. And honestly, this is the first time I've seen anything about them having a kid in this one new picture. So this picture here is the biggest shock to me because they didn't have a kid in the game and now they have a son. And that obviously adds a lot more stress and pressure on Tommy, who we can already see seemed to aged a lot more in just these past 5 years, which is what happens when you have a kid. But the picture itself, it's like they're being protective of the son, but it's hard to surmise the kind of conversation they're having. Tommy looks like he's ready to almost take someone out. Or is it a nice chill conversation? Because Maria kind of looks relaxed, but Tommy looks like he's ready to go. And the kid looks like he's like, I don't know what's going on. And then to the first full shot of Abby. This is probably the first full body shot we've seen of her. And as you can see, she's tiny. So Abby's out front. Her face is kind of blurred. Like, I don't know. There's bits of snow in the way, and it's kind of a weird choice for a picture because the snow is obscuring her face a little. But Abby's on the hunt, and I know who she's on the hunt for. Maybe you do too. Her friends don't seem to be too excited about being involved in this. Like, she has a look of determination. Then her friends, like in the back, they have Danny Ramirez as Manny, and then you have Tati Gabrielle as Nora, Ariella Barra as Mel, and then Caitlin in front, and then her best friend Spencer Lord as Owen. Owen is the one dating Mel. The two women seem to be apprehensive, as if like, should we be doing this? Why are we here? Kind of thing. We're just here to support our friend. We don't really want to do this. This really great picture of Ellie and Dina on their horses. They're both about to set off. It looks a little too staged. I mean, I don't know if these are pictures that were taken on set or they're just images taken from the show after it was fully edited. Because you never know if these were taken directly from the show and someone took a snapshot, or this was taken, on the day, framed and made to look really nice. Bella and Ellie. Why couldn't you find someone with a name who wasn't the same? Even with Caitlin. Caitlin, at least you could separate that. Caitlin and Ellie. Bella and Ellie. But then I wonder if Caitlin had got the job as Ellie, would Bella be Abby years later? Who knows? What are they doing here? If they're just gone out for kind of like a resource hunt, or this is the part, as in the game, where they go out on their big hunt. They're definitely prettying up Dina a lot more than she is in the games. Like, they're trying to make her look more prissy than she is. And Bella is the more quote-unquote butchy one of the two. I mean, in the games, they're pretty similar visually looking. Like, they're about the same height, and neither of them are like gussied up pretty girls. I mean, they're both, natural, beautiful looking kind of thing. So, but here they're kind of going farther with how prettier Dina is. And we have a really great picture of Ellie in a abandoned store of some type on the hunt for somebody, looking for an individual, or is she hunting? And is this connected to the part we just saw with them on the horses? Or is this a whole other separate thing? Is this after the horses or before the horses? She looks really freaked out. She by herself. There's Dina there somewhere around with her too. They're in some type of business, but I can't really make out the name in the back. I think it's possible it could be dairy and eggs maybe, like for a grocery store or something. Possible dairy. It looks like that could be an A, and that could be like that was a G that fell over. Dairy and eggs. So she's in a grocery store, some old corner store. But what brought her in there? Is she searching for a person or just for like food for the
Then the very last picture, as I went through all these pictures in order of what they were in the Entertainment Weekly articles, we have Tommy standing up, and he, like I said, he looks a lot older, but this is giving me some type of leader vibe. 5 years later, maybe he's the head of the town, or because I know that Maria was kind of like help running it. He was too. Now here we are 5 years later, and how much more? Tommy looks like he's having a meeting of some sort, like gather around. But what is he here to say? It's hard to tell with people looking because maybe it's one of those things have been going really great around here, guys, la la la, or it could be like, hey, someone died and we need to go like do something. Hard to tell if what is happening is for like good reasons or bad reasons because he don't look like he's too happy. Definitely looks like he's a lot older. Those last 5 years have aged him. Psych, knife, I can't lie.
Well, that last picture of Tommy was the last picture of the new group of photos that Entertainment Weekly just posted earlier today. And that's my look at those photos, trying to come up with what I think that is, what I know that is, and all types of theories and hypotheses. Please comment below if you have any thoughts on what I just said. Let me know what you think about those pictures, about any of the information dropped in the article, and let me know what you think. But until then, don't forget, my friends, to like and subscribe, and to keep gaming.